Good evening,
Good evening.
everyone. Hello, Brian. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Is everyone well?
Baruch Hashem.
Good. Baruch Hashem. So let's see who's with us. I see there's quite people with us. Oh, Lionel Pogo with us, Orna with us, Ivan with us. I see also Ronald with us. Hello, Ronald. A long time. How are you? It's very nice. I see Jeffrey joining us. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, good. Oh, I hope, guys, that you all warm. Okay, Jeffrey, how are you?
Thank God, Rob. All good. I left my phone in the car. I've just gone down to collect it.
Okay. So we'll give you some time to reach home, to
No,
rest.
I'm all good. All good.
Okay, we'll give another few seconds for the people just to come in, and then we're going to start the show. B'ezrat Hashem, I'm just admitting, I see Matthew Maznitsky join us. Who else join us? I see Stephen now joining us. Let me just admit everyone, and then we'll go from there. Let me just see another few minutes. I'm just going to give, and we go from there. I just want to give another few minutes, and then we'll start the show. Actually, we're 2 minutes after, so let's start first. Okay, I would like to dedicate the show, okay, in a soul of Esther Kaden Bat Ketia, Mordechai Ben Rahma, Rav Avraham Haim Ben Eliezer Yaakov, Tamar Bat Zeava, Yaakov Salomon Ben Farha, Dvorah Ruth Bat Beila, Shosha Blima Bat Mordechai Bezalel, Malka Regina Bat Joya, Keti Gurgia Bat Farha, Nishmatam Tiyet Tzvora Betzura Haim. Also now, Il Health Hof, Menashe Naji Ben Farha, Liora Bat Miriam, Harav Moshe Ben Bahia Batia, Rav Moshe Ben Devora, Harav Avraham Ben Marina, Rav Shlomo Yehuda Ben Dalia, Dvorah Ruth, Dvorah Bat Esther, Dvorah Bat Esther, Orna Bluma Bat Miriam, Sheina Keila Bat Hana, Mordechai David Ben Leah, Haim Nahum Ben Pesa Reza, Ahuva Kaden Bat Tali Esther, Baruch Ben Zion Ben Leah, Tzvi Ben Hava, Shmuel Ben Shosha Blima, Liron Ben Sarit Ve'ovadia, Shmuel Ben Michal, Moshe Avram Ben Heren Ariva, Haya Tzipora Bat Rachel, Ayala Eden Bat Rivka, Tova Liba Bat Rachel, Nahum Zehev Ben Sheina Rivka, Yoshua Haim Ben Hayalea, Hana Masa Bat Rivka Zelda. Please God, refuah shlema to all of them, ולכל חולי עמו בית ישראל. רבותיי, we're going to start Parashat Eikev. Parashat Eikev, that's what we're going to read this coming Shabbos Be'ezrat Hashem. And I'm going to start, and then our friend Jeffrey going to read for us in English. So Be'ezrat Hashem, נעשה ונצליח, והשם עלינו ברחמיו ירוויח. והיה עקב תשמעון את המשפטים האלה, ושמרתם ועשיתם אותם. ושמר אדוני אלוהיך לך את הברית ואת החסד, אשר נשבע לאבותיך. בכבוד, ג'פרי. Jeffrey? I don't know if you can hear me, Jeffrey. Jeffrey? We can't hear you. I think that there is a problem with Jeffrey's phone. Okay. Jeffrey, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm back, Rob. There's something cut out. But
Okay.
Did you not hear it? I read it out. Sorry.
Yes. Please repeat it.
I'll do it again. This shall be the reward when you hearken to these ordinances and you observe and perform them. Hashem your God will safeguard for you the covenant and the kindness that he swore to your forefathers.
Okay. If you look at the beginning of the Parsha, the Torah starts with the word Vehaya. What does it mean, Vehaya? Chazal in Midrash Rabbah on Bereshit Rabbah, in Sefer Bereshit, in chapter 42, verse 3. Chazal tell us something very interesting about the word vehaya. Vehaya, en vehaya elke ela leshon simha. What does it mean? Chazal in the Midrash Rabbi say, wherever the verse starting with the word vehaya, or we'll see that we're going to start actually with the word vehaya, and we're going to end up the show in vehaya, in simha. Why am I starting with simha and I want to end with simha? Because Rabotai, from last Shabbos, we're reading Sheva Nehamot. That means 7 Shabbos that we're going to read, that the haftarot that have nothing to do with the parsha, and they're all about comfort. Nahamu Nahamu Ami we read last week. So from now on, there's only comfort. So I want to start also the show with something that have to do with joys and happiness. It's a vehaya. And Chazal and the Midrash in Bereshit Rabbah said that wherever that word vehaya mentioned is joy and happiness. And we have to understand what is the connection that the Torah start vehaya, and then it says Eikev tishmaun. Eikev, Chazal explained that the word Eikev, it's milshon akev. What it means akev? It's a hill. It's right at the bottom and the end. What's the connection between the simha to the end? That's most of the Mefarshim wanted to understand that. And today I'm going to bring, Be'ezrat Hashem, 2 different interpretations to it. The first interpretation is the Or HaHaim HaKadosh, Rabbi Haim ben Atar. Rabbi Haim ben Atar, born in the city of Sali, in Morocco. He born around 329 years ago. And in his commentary on the Torah, he explained that what the Torah starts with happiness to the end, that's referring to right in the end. What does it mean in the end? Okay, what here it's the heel. But Rabbi Haim ben Atar said that, when you're really gonna have the simha right in the end. What does it mean right in the end? When the Mashiach come, okay, that's gonna be the real joy, the real happiness that you can have. Chazal explained that all what we having now, all the joys and the happy that we have, it's nothing compared to when the Mashiach comes. When the Mashiach comes, the happiness and the joys that we'll have, it's going to be beyond understanding, forever. What we have now, joy, after every little joy and happiness that we have, always come kind of a sadness, kind of a difficulty that join us. Say the Mefarshim, that's Rabbi Haim ben Atar, when we're going to be the real joy, the real happiness, going to be right in the end. And that's why the verse starts, Vehaya Eikev. That means the simha going to be right in the end when the Mashiach comes. I saw another beautiful interpretation of Rabbi Haim Mizlotov. Rabbi Avraham Haim Mizlotov, he born in the Ukraine around 297 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. He wrote a book, Orach L'Haim, The Way of Life, if you translate it to English. And in his book, he explained, similar to what Rabbi Haim ben Atar explained, but he explained it differently. And he said like this, when going to be the most joy? It's going to be the most joy to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in heaven, that in the end of the day, just before the Mashiach comes, with all the challenges that we have today, all the difficulty that we have, we see that the world gone berserk, completely bonkers. We don't understand what's happening in the world. In Israel, they're talking about reform. South Africa have challenges. America have challenges. There's no country in the world that people live in peace, in tranquility. Say, Rabbi Avraham Haim Mizlotov, he said that in the end of days, when a Jewish person have all of those difficulties, and he see a lot of challenges in his life, in the physical life, in a spiritual life, in his financial life, whatever the case is, and at those so, he's gonna still keep the Holy Torah, still will daven, still will go to She'orei Torah, and still stay believing, and with all of its difficulties, that will be the greatest happiness in heaven for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu can be proud and say that look at my kids. Although all the challenges, they're still studying Torah. Although all the challenges, they still have emunah on me. They believe in me. Although that I put them in that difficult position, they still love me. They still trust me. They still believe in me. That's the challenge that Hazal say, come to say from here. That's what it said. V'haya Eikev. V'haya is simcha. Eikev is in the end. You know when the real simcha is going to be? That in towards the end of the day, just before the Mashiach come, when things going to be so difficult, so confusing, and people still will continue believing in the Almighty and keeping the mitzvah. And that's the connection that what it say here, that v'haya Eikev. I would like to move on with your permission, and now we're going to bring the Zera Shimshon, Rabbi Shimshon Chaim Nachmani, to verse 14. And in verse 14, we see a very interesting verse, and we have to understand why does the Torah speak about it. Look what it says. Baruch tihye mikol ha'amim, lo yeh becha akar, ve'akara bebehemetecha.
You will be the most blessed of all the peoples. There will be no infertile male or infertile female among you or among your animals.
Okay. In the Pshat of the Dvarim, Moshe Rabbeinu said to the children of Israel, if they observe the mitzvot, okay, of the Almighty, all the blessing that there is will come into them. But here we're speaking about Bene. Bene is children. We're going to reach to it just now in a Sheol. And we have to understand why, what's the Hidush here? What is the Hidush that they're telling us? So I saw a beautiful Hidush that brought by the Zera Shimshon, Rabbi Shimshon Chaim Nachmani. Rabbi Shimshon Chaim Nachmani, born in the city of Modena in the north of Italy, 317 years ago. And in his book, Zera Shimshon, that he wrote in verse 1, he actually brings a very interesting midrash. And the midrash say like this, and the midrash actually asks, how come that Rivka Imenu, Rivka, the wife of Yitzhak Avinu, was a barren? That's the question of the midrash. And with that, Rabbi Shimshon Chaim Nachmani going to explain what is that blessing here. So the midrash answer, listen what the midrash answer, because Lavan, that was her brother, Lavan is our grandfather from the side of Rivka, okay? Hazal telling us there that the main reason that Rivka was a barren, by the way, if you want to know the source, it's Bereshit Rabbah, Midrash Bereshit, in chapter Bereshit Rabbah on Sefer Bereshit, chapter 60, verse 13. Hazal say there like this. Hazal say something very interesting. Hazal said that you know why Rivka was a barren, that she couldn't have kids at the beginning? We know that in the end, she had two kids, Yaakov and Esau. But we have to understand why she was a barren. Hazal say, Mishum birkato shel oto rasha. What does it mean? Hazal say, because the blessing that Lavan Rasha blessed her. What did he say to her? Before she left with Eliezer to go to the house of Abraham, he blessed her. Ahotenu, our sister, at you shall be le'alfei revava. What does it mean le'alfei revava? Hazal explained that here he blessed her that she's going to be a mother of 100,000 kids. And we know that she was, because from her come Bnei Israel, Yaakov Avinu, that was a son. And he was, from here was the descendants of all the children of Israel. Say Hazal in the Gemara, because Lavan, that was idol worshippers, Hazal said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want the Gentile to say, you know why the Jewish people go multiply like this? Because the blessing of Lavan HaRasha. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the beginning made Rivka Imenu barren. And we see that during the what do you call it, during her life at the beginning, she approached her husband, Yitzhak, and she said, Haveli Banim, please daven for me to have kids. And Yitzhak Avinu said to her, no, I can't give you kids. You have to daven to the Almighty. But Nachon Hazal explained it, that was in the merit also of Yitzhak Avinu. Come the Zera Shimshon and say something true. He said, you know what Moshe Rabbeinu tell you in this verse? Baruch tiyeh mikol ha'amim, you should be blessed from all the other nations. You're not going to have, has v'shalom, the chorus and the problem that Rivka Imenu had. That even if a Gentile is going to bless you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring that prosperity on you. As long that you keep the Torah and the mitzvot, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make sure that all the blessing that exists in the world will reach to you. He said, why? Why is that? How come? How come that all the blessing going to come to you? He said like this, as long that you observe the mitzvot of the Almighty, as long that you show faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will show you that although that the goy that bless you, it wouldn't cause you harm, like it caused to Rivka Imenu when Laban bless her. That means HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bless us, that Has v'Shalom not going to be barren, not going to be a sterilized man amongst the Jewish people, and not also in our animals. That's the blessing. But what is the condition to it? Said the Zera Shimshon. As long that you remember to observe the mitzvot of the Almighty, then any blessing of the goyim not going to cause any trouble to you, not going to cause any complication. So what do you learn from here? Hazal explains something extreme. Hazal in Bereshit Rabbah said that when a Gentile that worship idols, okay, it's called Akum, Oved, Kochavim, V'Mazalot. That's Akum, Rashi Tevot. Okay, when he bless a Jewish person, that can cause problem. So try to avoid to receive a brocha from a God. But Hazal said, the Zera Shimshon, but if you keep Torah and mitzvot and you fulfill the mitzvot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no complication going to come from that brocha. So we learn something very interesting. That the Moshe Rabbeinu said to the children of Israel, as long that you keep the mitzvot, nothing can harm you. Even the evil forces of those that worship idols cannot even come close to you and not going to cause any complication. Let's move on, with your permission, to verse 15. And in verse 15, we see something very interesting. The Torah here speaks about food. And let's see what food is she speaking and how is that applicable to us. The Torah tells us like this in verse 15. No, sorry, before that, I would like to go, yes, verse 15, sorry. But it's not about food, it's again about sickness. Ve'esir Adonai mincha kol holi v'chol madve Mitzrayim hara'im asher yada'ata lo yisimun bach unetanam b'chol son'echa. Yeah, bechavod.
Hashem will remove from you every illness and all the bad maladies of Egypt that you knew. He will not put them upon you, but will put them upon all your foes.
Okay. Here the Torah tells us regarding all the plagues, basically. If we ask ourselves, how many plagues do you just receive? There's 10 plagues that the Torah tells us. The Torah tell us about 10 plagues that HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished the Egyptians. But what is the Torah here tell us? All the melodies, all the sickness, and all the plagues that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought in Egyptian. We have to understand. We know about 10. Where's all the others coming? So Rabotai, in the Haggadah of Pesach, we saw that there is a dispute, not really a dispute, each one of them trying to add up. How many plagues the Egyptian received in Egypt? So there is three opinions of the sages, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Akiva. Hazal, each one of them say, Rabbi Yossi say 50. Rabbi Eliezer say 200. Rabbi Akiva say 250. Come the Gaon Mivilna and ask a question. Wait a second. I don't understand. What difference does it make? How many plagues the Egyptian? Sorry, how many plagues, how many diseases, how many maladies the Egyptian got in Egypt? What difference is that? What difference? What difference does it make to us as a Jew? That's the question of the Gaon Mivilna. Who was the Gaon Mivilna? The Gaon Mivilna was Rabbi Eliyahu Mivilna. There is different opinion where he born. Some say that he born in Lita. Some say that he born in Vilna. It doesn't make a difference really where, but he born around 300 years ago, 301 years ago, plus minus. And he said, let me explain to you what's hiding behind what our sages try to add up the numbers. From 50, they jumped to 250. But we all know 10. Say something extraordinary, the Gaon Mivilna. The Gaon Mivilna explained that the sages wanted to add up so much more sickness, so much more plague, so much more melodies, that there is less chance that the Jewish people, Has v'Shalom, will be affected by those plague, by those sickness, by those melodies. He said, and that's what the Torah tells us here. Ve'isir Adonai mimcha, and the Almighty will remove from you. What is he going to remove? All of those 250 plagues, melodies, sickness that the Egyptian experienced, you're not going to experience. And that's the Hidush here. That the Hidush here, that is, that we have to understand that Moshe Rabbeinu tell the children of Israel, that as long that you keep the mitzvah, okay, you're not going to see any one of those plagues. You're not going to experience those plagues. What it means to experience those plagues? As I'll say, that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought the 10 plagues on the Egyptian, the children of Israel experienced it for a split of a second. That means that let's start with the first plague, Makat Dam, and then Tzfardea, and then Kinim, and on, that the children of Israel, for the first few seconds, also experienced that. That when they opened the tap, they suddenly saw they didn't have a tap, but when they're gone, they start taking water, they also start seeing blood, but immediately it turned to water, just to let them have this experience, what the Egyptian gonna suffer from. That means every plague the children of Israel experience. Come Moshe Rabbeinu and say, as long that you keep the Torah and mitzvot, not only that you're not going to experience it, you're not going to have it. And that's why I say the Gaon Mivilna, why each one of the sages, that Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Akiva, try to add up so many. That will be less chance that even if Has v'Shalom, okay, the children of Israel are not going to keep mitzvot, less chance that they're going to have to know from those plagues. And that's the idea behind. Let's move on with your permission now in verse 17 and verse 18. We're going to read two verses, Jeffrey. In verse 17, the Torah tells us, "Po tomar bilvavcha, rabim hagoyim האלה ממני, איכה אוכל להורישם. לא תירא מהם, זכור תזכור, את אשר עשה אדוני אלוהיך לפרעה ולכל מצרים.
Perhaps you will say in your heart, these nations are more numerous than I. How will I be able to drive them out? Do not fear them. You shall remember what Hashem your God did to Paro and to all of Egypt.
Okay, here the Torah tells us that when you see that there is a lot of nation around you, say Moshe Rabbeinu, you should not worry. Don't worry. Although that they're more than you, they might have more weapons than you, you have not to fear from them. That's the pshat of the Dvarim. I saw a beautiful commentary of Rabbi Eliezer Ashkenazi. Rabbi Eliezer Ashkenazi, born around 510 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. He born in Poland, okay? He wrote a book, Maaseh Hashem. Okay? That's the name of the book, Maaseh Hashem. And there he says something extraordinary. He said, you know, when the Jewish people have to understand one important thing, he said, as long that they put the trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they have nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. But at the moment that they putting the trust on the strength, that means on the tanks, on the airplane, on the army, the strong army that they have, the weapon that they have, and etc., then they have to worry. He said what? He says, as long that the Jewish people put the trust in Hashem, that they know that it's not the weapon that they have, it's not the airplane that they have, it's not the submarine that they have, it's not the strength of the special forces, all of that is bubamas. It's that as long that they put the trust in Hashem, that He can help them to win the war, that's when it's going to happen. And Rabotai, I have to share it with you. 6-day war, the children of Israel, in the states of Israel, okay, we have very few weapons. We hardly have any weapon. De Gaulle, the president of the prime minister of France, promised the Mirage. In the last minute, he canceled it. In Israel, they're already talking about mass grave all over the country. They just didn't announce it, not to create havoc in the states of Israel. The Jewish people all over the world, was davening to Hashem, saying Tehillim, praying, davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have a great success because we realize that we don't have no weapon, we have no strong army to fight the three nations, that's Egypt in the south, in the east was Jordan, and in the north we have Syria. Never mind Iraq and all of those that was flooding, and Russia that was flooding them with weapons. Say Rabbi Eliezer Ashkenazi something important. He said, as long that you know that you put your faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have nothing to worry. Nachon that you have to have an army. For example, a person has to do his own ishtadlut atzmit, his own personal effort. Why? For example, now it's cold outside. Imagine a person not going to wear warm clothes. If the body not warm, he's going to get sick. Nachon, there's people that doesn't need to wear warm. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, I need you to wear warm that you're not going to get sick. So what does it mean? It's to teach us personal effort. Nachon, we need the army. But do we put our faith only in the army, or we put our faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Say Rabbi Eliezer Ashkenazi, as long that you put your faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have nothing to worry. But if you put your faith in a weapon, inevitably, you're going to have a problem. And we saw it. 6-day war, we put our faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, great success. Yom Kippur War, the war of Yom Kippurim, we have a great success because everyone lift up the eyes to the heaven. But when we have Lo Alenu Milchemet Lebanon, the war of Lebanon, especially the second one, never mind the first one. I was in the first one in Lebanon. The mistake that we made one after each other. Milchemet Lebanon, the second Lebanon war, was a disaster. If you call it the army. People that have a rifle that call M16, or what you call it here in South Africa, they call it R4, R5, it's called the Galil, got magazine of a Uzi. It didn't even fit. The bullet doesn't even fit into it. It was a disgrace what's happened. They just washed it out. What we're trying to say, because the army was too arrogant. Say Rabbi Eliezer Ashkenazi, you have to remember, as long that you're not arrogant about it. If you're arrogant and you think that your strength and your power come because you have a strong army, then you have to worry. But if you put your faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it doesn't make a difference, your neighbor, how many of them there is, how many people there is. That's not going to affect you. That's I can guarantee you. The only thing that you have to remember, okay, it's the faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's how you're going to succeed. And that's what those verses come to teach us. I would like to move on to verse 25. And verse 25, it's quite interesting if you'll see what it said. Pesile Elohehem tisrefun ba'esh, lo tahmod kesef vezahav alehem, velakachta lecha, pen tevakesh bo ki to'evat Adonai Elohecha hu.
The carved images of their gods you shall burn in the fire. You shall not covet and take for yourself the silver and gold that is on them, lest you be ensnared by it. For it is your God.
Okay. Here the Torah tells us that if there is a statue or any gold or silver that belong to idol worshipping, the Torah tells us that you're not allowed to touch it. The Torah tells us on the Pshat of that Barim, because if you take it, it might gonna be abomination to you. And we have to understand what is the Torah trying to tell us. What is the Pshat of the Torah? I saw a beautiful commentary that brought by Rabbi Ovadia Misporno. Rabbi Ovadia Misporno, just to give you a little bit of history about him. Rabbi Ovadia Misporno, born in the city of Cesena. Cesena is a city on the north of Italy. He born around 553 years ago. In his profession, he was a doctor. He also was a rabbi, but he also wrote a commentary on the Torah that Chazal accepted it, and today we use this commentary. It's called Hasforno. That is commentary. And he says something extraordinary. He come and he explaining to us, you know why the Torah given us this prohibition not to take gold, silver that belong to idols, or belong to idol worshippers that from that to make idols. Although that we can melt it and it's going to change, the Torah tells us you should not use it. How come? Said the Sporno, let me explain to you what's hiding behind it. He said, if a person going to take gold or silver and he going to sell it and he going to make money of it and he going to succeed, he start to believe he might going to come to kind of a belief that all of success came from what? Not from the gold and the silver, is because, Has v'shalom, it's from the idols. That means that the gold and the silver been blessed because, Has v'shalom, it was belonged to the idol. Said the Sforno, You know why the Torah tell you that it's a prohibition? Okay, it's a negative command to take gold and silver that was belonged to Avodah Zarah, because that might gonna lead you that your success came from what? From the idol. And in the end, inevitably, it's gonna be abomination. So the Torah come and tell you straight, the gold and the silver that belong to Avodah Zarah, you're not allowed to use it. And that's the reason. Although that you're gonna melt it, you're not gonna allow to take it, because it might gonna have an influence on you. It might gonna change the way of thinking. And the Torah wanted to stop that. And that's the reason that Hazal tell us, when I say Hazal, it's forno, that we're not allowed to use gold and silver that was belong to the idols. I would like to jump now to verse 1 to chapter 8, verse 1 in a Parashat. And let's look what it says. Hazal tell us, כל המצווה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום, תשמרו לעשות למען תחיון וביתם ובתם וירשתם את הארץ אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיכם.
The entire commandment that I command you today, you shall observe to perform, so that you may live and increase and come and possess the land that Hashem swore to your forefathers.
So we have to understand what's happening here. Rabbi, it's very interesting. Hazal tell us in 3 different Gemarot. The Gemara Masechet Pesachim. I need to look at the sources here. What's the sources? Gemara Masechet Pesachim 24, verse 2, and Gemara Masechet Sukkah 28, folio 2, and Megillah, page 8, folio 2. Wherever the word kol, okay, kol mitzvah, every. What it means every? It's come to tell you, it's come leharbot. What it means leharbot? It's come to multiply. We have to understand what is it come to multiply. And that question been asked by Rabbeinu Ha'ari HaKadosh, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria Ashkenazi. He born in Jerusalem 489 years ago. And he explained what it's come to add up. Wherever it say kol, it's come to add up. He said it's come to tell you, when it say kol mitzvah, it's come to teach you something very important. That every mitzvah that a person do, they have to do it in perfection. That means properly. What it means, perfection. For example, let's take mitzvah tefillin. We put the tefillin on a hand, we put the tefillin on a head. Hazal say, where's the tefillin should be? On a hand, if you are right hand, you should put it on your left. Person at the left, put it on the right. But where it should be, במקום הקורדו. What does it mean קורדו? That means Hazal tell us that it should be 2 fingers before the elbow. Why Hazal tell us that if a right hand have to put it on the left, on a pshat of the dvarim, that tefillin gonna face the heart. But what Hazal tell us? That yad rafa, that the hand that you weak. And that's when a person is a left-handed, he must put it on the right. Okay? But there he doesn't have his heart on the right. The heart is on the left. It's to weaken the evil forces on a mystical part. And then again, when you put on a head, where does it have to be? And the end where the hair ending, right here. Hazal say, if you didn't put it on the right position, that means if the thing is a bit lower or facing the other side, not in the middle, like this and here, and the head, you didn't fulfill the mitzvah. And that's what Hazal bin Paskin in a Mishnah Brura in Siman Kav Zayin, if you want to look at it, Mishnah Brura, Siman Kav Zayin, Sa'if Dalet, okay? That if a person didn't put the tefillin in the right position, he didn't fulfill the mitzvah. Come Ari HaKadosh and say, you know why it's say kol mitzvah? What it's come to add up? when you do a mitzvah, you should do it properly, 100%. You should make sure that the feeling that you put on a hand, that the feeling that you put on a head should be in the right position. You should make sure that the leather stripes that you have, they're not upside down. They always have to look the black on the outside. Those of you that have not full color black both sides. Say Ari Kadosh, from that what it's come to tell you, Kol mitzvah, that when you do a mitzvah, you should do it in completion and 100%. That's on mitzvah tefillin. You can obviously say it on any other mitzvah. If we take mitzvah tzitzit, you should make sure that the side of the tzitzit is properly, the way that you put the tzitzit. Some people put the tzitzit just like this. Where's arba'a kanfot? All the 4 string is on the front. You should have 2 to the front, 2 to the back. If you didn't done it, you didn't fulfill the mitzvah Hazal Pascha. Okay? You should make sure that all the 4 string, okay, the more than 4 centimeter, more than 4 centimeter each string, it's minimum 4 centimeter. And you should make sure that the string is tied properly. And that's with every mitzvah, with every bracha that we say. That when we say the brachot, we say, Baruch Ata Hashem, Elokeinu Melech HaOlam, okay, etc. Bore pri ha'adama, bore pri ha'etz, shehakol niya bidvaro. To pronounce the word properly, a person davening, to try to focus on his davening. Say Ari HaKadosh, that's what it means, Kol HaMitzvah. That's what it's come to add up. It's come to tell you that when you do a mitzvah, make sure that you do it in completion, 100%. Then the verse continue. Look what it says. Lema'an tihyun ubitem ubatem urashtem et haaretz asher nishba Adonai la'avotechem. Sorry, Jeffrey, did you read it? Did you read this verse?
Yeah, I read up to the 1. I didn't do 2.
No. One. We still in 1.
And you come and possess the land that Hashem swore to your forefathers.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear. But it said, look here, Lema'an tihyun, and the merit of it, you should live. And then, urbitem, you should multiply. Ubatem, uirashtem, et haaretz asher nishba Adonai la'avotechem. Rabotai say, Rabbi Ovadia Misforno, something extraordinary. He said that here in this verse, you learn the 3 most important things that a human being need in his life. Hazal tell us in Gemara Moed Katan, in page 28, folio 1, Kafhet Amud Aleph, that the person, the 3 important things that the person needs in life, Hayeh, Beneh, Umzoneh. Hayeh is life. Beneh is multiplying, children. Mezoneh is a parnasa. Say, Rabbi Ovadia Misforno on this. He said, first of all, let's explain what is Beneh. A person have to have kids. Hayeh, life. What it means, Hayeh? That the person should have good life, long life, healthy life. Life full of prosperity. Life full of spirituality. That's what a person should have. The second thing, Beneh. What's the use of having all of that if he doesn't have kids? Or if he have kids, Haz v'shalom, and they're not healthy? Or if they don't follow the footsteps of the Almighty? What's the use? Say this forno. That's what Hazal in the Gemara telling you. And then he tell you that you need parnasa. Where do you learn that? You learn that from this verse. Hayeh, it's lema'an tihyun. Urvitem, it's multiplying. And parnasa, uirashtem et haaretz asher nishba la'avotechem. That means a person need a parnasa. Without parnasa, it's difficult to live. That's the 3 important things in the life of a human being. Say Rabbi Ovadia Misforno, here the Torah tell you. Say Ari HaKadosh Kol HaMitzvah, if you do every mitzvah in 100%, I guarantee you that you'll have those 3. What is those 3? Number one, hayeh, a good life. What's the use if a person lives to 120 and all of his life is suffering? It's very difficult. Not for that a person. Say the sforno that a person should have a long life, number one. Life that's full of happiness and joy, health, wealth. That's the most important. That's what we want. Him and his kids and all coming after him. And then Bene, it means that he should multiply, that he'd have children, that he'll have nachas from them. And Mezoneh, that he should have money, that he should not battle to bring his kids up. And his kids shouldn't battle. And that's what this verse comes to teach us. I would like to go to verse 2. And look here, the Torah tells us something very interesting. The Torah tells us like this, וזכרת את כל הדרך, אשר הוליכך אדוני אלוהיך, זה 40 שנה במדבר, למען ענותך, לנסותך, לדעת את אשר בלבביך, התשמור מצוותיו, אם לא.
You shall remember the entire road on which Hashem your God led you these 40 years in the wilderness, so as to afflict you, to test you, to know what is in your heart, whether you would observe his commandments or not.
Okay, we have to understand what's hiding behind. Why is Moshe Rabbeinu, now that he rebuking the children of Israel, asking them to remember the 40 years that they was in the wilderness, if they was below the age of 20, or those that over the age of 20 and they don't remember, okay? What is the chidush here? What is the real chidush here? What's hiding behind it? Or those that born, during the time of the wilderness. What is the chidush here? Why they have to remember the 40 years in the wilderness? That's the question that asked Rabbi Moshe Al-Sheikh. Rabbi Moshe Al-Sheikh, they call him Al-Sheikh HaKadosh, okay? The Holy Al-Sheikh. He born in a city of Andripoli. Andripoli is a city in Turkey, what's called today Andripolia. Okay, he born around 516 years ago. He lived in the 16th century during the golden era in Tzfat. And after he passed away, after the Ramak passed away, that was the great Rabbi, Rabbi Moshe Cordoviro. It was him and Ari Kadosh and Marana Bet Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo, and the Mahahu, Rabbi Haim Vital, the greatest Kabbalistic rabbi that was in the golden era in Tzfat. And he asked the question, and he said, why do we have to remember that? What difference it makes? He says something extraordinary. I tell you why Moshe Rabbeinu tell the children of Israel to remember those 40 years in the wilderness. But he said, let me bring a Gemara. Chazal in a Gemara in Masechet Sotah, in page 5, says something, page 5, folio 1. Chazal says something very interesting. Chazal say that Akadosh Baruch Hu, the Almighty, hate people with arrogance. A person that have arrogance, the Almighty can't come near him. A matter of fact, Akadosh Baruch Hu say, I'm leaving you, you stay by yourself. I can't be near you. Said the Al-Sheikh HaKadosh that here Moshe Rabbeinu telling the children of Israel something very important. They must understand that if a person done well of his life, and he succeeded, he made a lot of money, and he done well for himself, he must remember where he come from. He mustn't say, I built the business, I done it, I made the money. Because many people intend to interpret it that they made the fortune, they made the money. Say Al-Sheikh HaKadosh, something extraordinary. You say here the Torah coming to teach you humility and humbleness. That even if you done well, And sometimes the Yetzer Hara come and say to you, listen, you done well, look at you, you're so successful. So remember, say Al Sheikh HaKadosh, those difficult times that you had when you started your life. Don't forget where you come from. Say Al Sheikh HaKadosh, that's what Moshe Rabbeinu telling the children of Israel. Now you're ready to enter the land of Eretz Israel. The land of Eretz Israel, okay? You're going to come, you have a lot of money, you have a lot of gold that you managed to take from the spoil of Egypt. Don't jump to conclusion that you made it. Remember when you was a slave in Egypt. Remember those difficult times before you become rich. And that will help you not to be arrogant, not to be a person that look at everything and he think he made it. Arrogancy, to be proud. That will help you to keep humility and humble. And that's why, said the Torah, that said the Al Sheikh HaKadosh, why the Moshe Rabbeinu tell us in the Torah, to the children of Israel, remember that. But it's not only to the children of Israel. Said the Al Sheikh HaKadosh, and it's also to us today, that when a person starts to feel for a second, for a split of a second, arrogancy about his strength, about his power, he done it, immediately remember those days that was difficult for you, where you come from. And that will help you to remember and to bring you down, to bring your modesty to you. And that's the Hidush here, said the Sheikh HaKadosh. What the Torah tried to tell us is that Moshe Rabbeinu rebuking the children of Israel. So from here we can learn something very important. We have to learn also how to rebuke. We have to think how we say words. I'm speaking for me, you're all tzaddikim. I'm speaking for me personally. How to know how to talk. Let's go to verse 3. And here I wanted to speak about what I mentioned earlier. Look what it said. ויענך, וירעבך, ויאכילך את המן, אשר לא ידעת. ולא ידעון אבותיך למען הודיעך, כי לא על הלחם לבדו יחיה האדם, כי על כל מוצא פי אדוני יחיה האדם. חבר.
Okay. He afflicted you and let you hunger. Then he fed you the manna that you did not know, nor did your forefathers know, in order to make you know that not by bread alone does man live, rather by everything that emanates from the mouth of God does man live.
Okay. So on a pshat of the dvarim, the Torah tell us that the person can't live on a bread himself, okay? Or he needs spirituality. Rabotai, on Shabbos, I'm going to bring a very strange midrash. I'm going to bring the Zerah Shimshon. And the midrash say that the manna remind us, okay, of lighting candle on Shabbos. You will never, when I heard that Hidush and I read it, I couldn't understand. Took me maybe 5 times to repeat it to understand, and Be'ezrat Hashem on Shabbos I'll reveal for you what the Mekubalim say. How is the manna reflecting Shabbos candle? But that's not for tonight. Tonight I'm going to bring a different idea. I'm going to bring actually the Admor HaZaken. Who was the Admor HaZaken? Admor HaZaken was Rabbi Shneur Zalman Miladi. Rabbi Shneur Zalman Miladi, he's starting the movement of Chabad. He born in Belarus. He born around 278 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, okay? Plus minus, don't hold me into it. And the Admor HaZaken actually he based his words on what Ari HaKadosh said, okay? Rabbeinu Yitzhak Luria Ashkenazi. And he said like this, in his book, Likutei Torah, he said like this. And he bring in what Ari HaKadosh said. And he said like this. He said that the Almighty created the world be'asara ma'amarot. The Kadosh Baruch Hu created the word by saying, Vayihi or, Vayihi or. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, should be a light, should be a light. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, should be a vegetation, should be a tree, okay? And those trees should have fruit. Everything with word. He said, what does it mean? Lo ala lechem levado yihye adam. On the pshat of the dvarim, the person cannot live on physical thing, the bread himself. Ela al motza pi Hashem. What it mean motza pi Hashem? It said the Admor Zaken that when a person take a fruit, take food, it doesn't make a difference what is it. And he said brocha, he actually uplifting that physical to spiritual. And those strength of the brocha actually now penetrating inside his neshama and giving him the strength, okay, that he put on a physical. What does it mean? Let me explain. The person take an apple. That's physical. He said brocha on an apple. That's spiritual. That spirituality that he said penetrate into the apple and penetrating to the neshama of a human being. And that's what's helping that the word, the word that he said, the brocha that he said, that's the same like a Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world. That's spirituality he bring into the apple, into his neshama. That number one, that he believed that everything from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Borei Pri Ha'etz, Baruch Ata Hashem, Borei Pri Ha'etz, the Almighty, you created the tree. She'akol niya bidbaro, that you created everything. Okay, so you bring in the brocha, those physical energy and the spiritual energy together. That's the idea, that you take physical and you take spiritual and you put them together. By what? By saying the brocha. Motza pi. Okay? Motza pi Hashem. And that's the hidush. Motza pi Hashem. That's the idea. And that's what said the Admor Zaken in the name of who? In the name of Ari HaKadosh. That when we say brocha, that's the string. That's the idea. That's the power that we bring in. By that we're saying brocha. Number one, we actually, by the brocha that we're saying, we actually connecting our neshama to the spirituality and we're turning the physicality to spirituality. What a beautiful interpretation. I never thought about it. But I say I have to share it with you. Okay, the Mekubalim explain something a bit more deep. The Mekubalim saying that there is certain soul, what it means soul, there is certain neshamot that been reincarnated in fruit, in vegetables, in everything that a person eats. And why do you say bracha? By that you say bracha on that. Let's say, let's take example chicken. Okay, she'akol niya bidbaro, or meat, doesn't make it. Chazal said by that you say the brocha, if there is a soul that been reincarnated as a fish or a chicken or an animal, okay, by that you saying the brocha, you actually rectifying its soul. By that I'm saying Borei Pri Ha'etz, and if there is a spark of a neshama in that apple, I'm actually rectifying it, and you move to a different level stage. That's the secret behind the brachot that we're saying on certain things. That means the strength of the power of the brachot, we actually become partner in HaKadosh Baruch Hu of creating the world. Amazing how the Mekubalim explained it. I would like to, Jeffrey, we're going to jump to verse chapter 11, chapter 11, verse 13. And with that, I'm going to conclude because I want to end up like I started Vehaya. And the verse in chapter 11, verse 13, and the verse say like this. והיה אם שמוע תשמעו אל מצוותיי, אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום, לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיכם, ולעובדו בכל לבבכם ובכל נפשכם.
All right. It will be that if you hearken to my commandments that I command you today, to love Hashem your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, then I shall provide rain for your land in its proper time, the early and the late rains, that you may gather in your grain, your wine, and your oil. I did 13 and 14, sorry, Rob.
Never mind, nothing wrong. Okay. In the beginning of the show, we start with the word Vehaya Eikev. And now I'm going to end up with the word Vehaya, also Lashon Simcha Be'ezrat Hashem, to try to explain what's happening. Say Rabbi Chaim ben Attar. Rabbi Chaim ben Attar, in his commentary, Or Chaim HaKadosh, explains something extraordinary. He explained that here the Torah hinting to us, in this verse, what is the real favorable simcha that a person should have, and what kind of a simcha we should live. And he said like this, look what it said. V'haya im shamoa titshmeu el mitzvotai. If you should listen to my command and you should obey them. That's mean, say Or HaChaim HaKadosh, you know when the real simcha, when the real joy, when the real happiness happening? When you do mitzvot and ma'asim tovim and you observe the Torah. He said when a person done something good, kindness, he never regretted. A person that done a mitzvah, a person that learn halacha, listen to shi'ur Torah, he never regretted. He always happy. A person maybe can take physical thing, okay? At the beginning he's happy. But later on you realize that that physical actually wasn't such a good thing. It might gonna cause them pain. It might gonna cause them upset. Might cause them to be jealous from other people, or even pain and agony and disappoint us. Say Or HaChaim HaKadosh, here the Torah tell us that when a person do mitzvot, when a person observe the Torah, when a person do kindness, like the Torah tell us, and connected and bonded to the Almighty, that's the real happiness. And that's what always we should be. For example, we go into Simcha. Okay? People get married, B'Sha'at Tova. But are we going there to be in happiness because of us, or to do Simcha to Hatan v'Kala? If you're going for yourself, you're never going to get a Simcha. But if you're going to make a Simcha for the Hatan and Kala to make them happy, oh, that's for you the best. But Has v'Shalom, if you're going for yourself, if you expect it, and suddenly the food not going to become the way that you expected, or the music is not exactly what you expected, and etc., you get disappointed. But if you're going for the sake of a Simcha, what does it mean? L'sameach hatan v'kala. The food is, it's not here, it's not there. Yes, I'm eating because I need to eat. Yeah, Baruch Hashem. The music. I'm not dancing for the music. I'm dancing for who? For the hatan and kala, to make them happy. So say the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, you know when is the real simcha? When you do it for mitzvah. When you do a mitzvah, you never regret it. Sometimes people go to a simcha and they didn't enjoy the food, or they didn't enjoy the music, or they didn't enjoy whatever happened. They got disappointed. They got upset. Why? Because they didn't go for the sake of the mitzvah. They're going for the sake of the physicality. Say Or HaChaim HaKadosh, that's exactly it. Here the Torah hinting to you, you want to be happy and you'll never regret, no matter what, if you do it for the sake of the mitzvah. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should all the time be b'simcha. And that's what I started, Vehaya, Leshon Simcha, Hazal, in Midrash Bereshit Rabbah, okay? Chapter 60, verse 3. Remember that, if you want to check it out. That wherever it said, Vehaya Leshon Simcha, that please God, we all going to be in Simcha from now on. And Be'ezrat Hashem, if we observe the mitzvot, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will see that we are observing the mitzvot, He'll give us Simcha, He'll bring Simcha to our heart. Because when a person learns Torah, he never have regrets. Why did I study that? Why did I done this mitzvah? The opposite, he never regret. There is no regret when you do mitzvah. Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should merit, number one, to do the mitzvot besimcha. Number two, when we do the mitzvot, we should do it in completion, like the Ari HaKadosh say. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Be'ezrat Hashem, will send us speedily in our days, Mashiach Tzidkenu, and we'll see all the abundance, the spiritual abundance and the physical abundance. Amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon. If there is any question, now it's the time for you to ask, but please unmute your microphone.
Rabbi, how are you doing?
Erev Tov, Eitan, how are you? I'm so happy to see you with us.
Baruch Hashem, yeah. I look forward to and I appreciate the reminders. I think that's the most important thing.
I think so. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Ken,
Gewaldig share. So I'm sure everyone is thinking the same question that I'm asking now, and it's been asked many, many times, but I still haven't got a clear answer. Because the Rabbi was saying that if a person does all the mitzvahs and he goes Hashem's way and he does all this, and then he will get the brachas, as you said. But we see in life it's not like that. We see with our tzaddikim and Yaakov and Avraham and what the Torahs they went through. We see with people who do shomer mitzvahs, they do everything al pi halacha 100%, and yet they God chas v'shalom, they lose a loved one, or they go through difficulty, they lose money, whatever. So it's very hard to understand that.
To link to it, to bond it together.
Because we don't see it like that. We really don't see it like that. So I'm just confused.
That's Be'ezrat Hashem. I'll try to give you an answer. So that's the shaila of Hazal. Rasha v'tov lo, tzaddik v'ra' lo. What does it mean? Rasha is a wicked person. V'tov lo. Hazal asks, there is sometimes we see in this world people that are wicked. Oh, and look at them. Financially, they're doing well. Physically, they're doing well. Everything that you want, they have. But he's a wicked person. But from the other way, you see a righteous man, tzaddik v'ra'lo, a person that is a righteous, but he has difficulties. That's your question, if I'm not mistaken, Nachon?
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, yeah. Basically, yeah. It's I don't know what the Rabbi was saying exactly. Like it was just a bit. There was a lot of information you're trying to give, but it seems like it says that if a person does the will of Hashem, then he will get everything like you said.
Rewarded.
But obviously,
rewarded.
Yeah, you're rewarded, and you'll have a peaceful life, and you'll have blessings and everything. But we see that people, unless we say that there's tikkun there, like I get the tikkun.
There is definitely a tikkun there. There's no question that there is a tikkun there from previous life. But you have to remember how we behave in previous life. Where do we learn that? From Job. Job, he was a righteous man. And he said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Almighty, you know that I'm a righteous man. Not everyone's saying that I'm a righteous man. You know that I'm a righteous man. Why do I suffer? He asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Say HaKadosh Baruch Hu to him, Efo hayita biyosdi aretz, where you was when I created the world. What does it mean? Eov, you know who you are. Eov, you are the reincarnation of who? Of Terah, the father of Abraham. In your previous life, You used to sell idols. You used to manufacture idols like the China of today, manufacturing everything. You was the biggest idol supplier to the world. So you come to this world, and now it's your rectification to suffer. That's on a pshat of the dvar. It's deeper way. It's a different level. Eitan, listen to that. Hazal said, why is the Avot HaKadoshim, why is the forefather have to suffer? Why? Avraham Avinu have Ishmael. Avraham Avinu been thrown to the furnace. Nimrod wanted to kill him. Avraham never had a peaceful moment. Then Yitzhak, what is Yitzhak? Whoa, Yitzhak sacrificed himself. Olat Mima. Yaakov Avinu, from the moment that he born until the last 17 years of his life, he never had one piece of quietness. And he said, when Paro asked him, how old are you? He said, I'm in the age of 130 and my life full of tragedies, pain and agonies. Said the Mefarshim that you have to understand that sometimes tzaddikim don't want to receive everything. They taking on themselves pain and agony that the rest of the Jewish people not going to suffer. Chazal say that sometimes you see that tzaddik die, a tzaddik die, and immediately after that, a tragedy coming. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu take the tzaddik so you wouldn't see the suffering of the nation. There is certain tzaddikim in this world that taking the pain and the agony, the suffering, to reduce the pain that's going to happen to Am Israel. So there is here two different things. Number one is what he was in his previous life. Number two, is he a real tzaddik, that a righteous man, that he have the strength and the caliber to take less pain, okay? Lorid dinim me'al Israel, to bring less judgment to the Jewish people. So Chazal explained on this. Chazal say that sometimes we see normal people, in our eyes, they look good. They look tzaddikim, they go to shul. Yes, they are. But who they was in the previous life. Sometimes you see a young people die in a young age. Yes, because he's done everything. He done his rectification. He left the body here. He gone back to heaven. To us, it's painful. To him, it's the best place. He's enjoying it. Sometimes we see that people suffer different way. Sickness, lo alenu. People that have difficulty with financial. We don't know what they done. Maybe in previous life, they done some other. So that's we leave to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But that's the three different ideas that Chazal bringing us, three different ideas. Why people, you see that they tzaddikim, they suffer on this world. Beseder, Eitan?
I don't want to take too much time of everyone else, but it still doesn't sit well with me because I still not understanding why just general people, because what you're saying is that when a person does the way of Hashem, then he'll get those things. I mean, if it's clear in the Torah, then why aren't those happening? So besides the tikkun, besides the tzaddikim, but every day we see normal people who are keeping kosher, keeping Shabbos, going to shul, whatever, but they're going through so much suffering.
But you know what there was in the previous life? Maybe in the previous life, they didn't keep Shabbos.
But then why does the pasuk say
life, they never eat kosher? Because they come to rectify what there was in the previous life.
So what's the Torah come to teach us what the Rabbi was saying before? If a person follows...
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask. Oh, beautiful. The Torah come and teach you that sometimes you see people that if something happened to them, they're moaning about it and complaining. The Torah come and tell us here, why did I start besimcha? Why besimcha? I tell you a secret that the Mekubalim say. The Mekubalim say, if you look at things positively, Even difficult thing you can change to positive. If you're in happiness, nachon that it's difficult, nachon that time is not easy, but you're not complaining to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know exactly what you're doing. I'm not judging you. It's difficult for me, and I'm still besimcha, and I'm still happy. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will remove that judgment from that person.
So the tikkun as well.
In the
The
merit
tikkun as
of
well.
the mitzvot that you're doing, and you besimcha, you can rectify without suffering anymore. That's the secret of the mikubah.
Even the tikkun.
That's exactly. Just be besimcha. You have
Okay.
That's the idea. Eitan, I'll sit with you one day. We need to sit on it, and I will develop that concept. Beseder?
Thank you.
Pleasure. Rabota, any other question?
Anthony, how are you?
Erev Tov, Antonio, it's so nice to see you, to be with us. I didn't see you, but it's so nice to see you with us. Yes, bechavod.
This week's part, that the mitzvah bench, where we learn we have to bench. All the benching.
From here, we have mitzvat aseh. What it means, mitzvat aseh? A positive command from the Torah that after you eat bread, okay, you should bless. What it means, ve'achalta v'savata? According to the Torah, that you should eat and you be full. According to Hazal, to our sages, that you eat more than kabeitza or kazait, you're obligated for netilat yadayim, and to say birkat hamazon. Exactly, that's the source. I just wanted to clear it up.
Okay, thanks very much.
Pleasure. Any other question, Rabotai, regarding the
Yes,
parasha?
Rav, I'd like to just start to ask a couple of questions. What Eitan was saying was very pertinent. It comes when we finished off now with one of the paragraphs. We finished with the paragraphs of the Shema. We ask ourselves why we find ourselves in difficult times. We what have you, and we do mitzvahs and we make other people happy. But when we do the brachas that we do every day, and we must do it as it says in the paragraph, we must do it with love. It's got to be done with, not because we've got to do it. It's not because just we get up. It's got to be done with feeling and love from our soul. When we do it with love, it's then we will receive all these brachas that a good life, which Hashem. And it's very difficult in difficult times. It's when we make a bracha, we do it just out of rote. We take it up and make the bracha. Do we really do it with love? Or we just say it? It is. We got to stop ourselves. This is a wake-up call for all of us tonight. It's a wake-up call so we make a bracha, pause a second and think about it, because we do it all by rote. As we do something, we eat something, we just say it because we must say a bracha. But that's not what's gonna. That doesn't what will make the effect of Hashem to bless us. But if we do it with love, that Hashem has created this, and we're having this, and we make it a point to think about it. We've just finished with it with love. That's the issue. If you do it with love, then you'll get all these things.
Absolutely. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will cancel the judgment if there is any judgment. Why? Because you see that you accepted his verdict, and not only that you accepted his verdict, you still trust me and you're still happy? Okay, it's finished. Yeah. That's why we sang the Kaddish. Well, that's why the Kaddish is so important. What? For the deceased. Because in the Kaddish, there's nothing about deceased. The Kaddish, it's all praising the Almighty. And people that have some sadness, why did they say Kaddish? Because they have a deceased. I'm not talking about those that doing refilling, standing by. I'm talking about those that really say Kaddish. And when they say Kaddish, they're praising the Almighty. HaKadosh Baruch Hu say, listen, they just lost the beloved one, and they continue to praise me.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to do rectification for the soul.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
And anyone else? I see that Stephen wanted to ask. Stephen? Stephen? Oh,
Rav,
Brenda, how are you?
I'm good, and you? Good, good. Yeah, I wanted to ask, you said that Rivka was barren because Lavan gave her a brocha, and so now I want to know that brocha that Lavan gave her, we still use today. Why?
No. That's the brocha why she was a barren. That's the brocha why Rivka was a barren. Why? Because Lavan was an idol worshiper. We know.
Okay.
That when Eliezer came, what did he say to Eliezer? Niketi abayit, I clean the house. Clean the house of what? Zehazar. Me'avodah zarah. Lavan was a witchcrafter, a sorcerer. Everyone knew him. Billy, Bilam HaRasha was his son. You understand who we're talking about?
Yes.
Lavan was a great sorcerer, great witchcrafter, great, one of the greatest and the biggest idol worshiper. And if people see that suddenly Rivka immediately gonna multiply and have kids, they say, you know why? It's because the blessing of a brother, the Rasha Lavan. And everyone gonna start worshiping idols. Say Hazal in a midrash. No, Kadosh Baruch Hu kept her for a few good years to become a barren. But there is a deeper meaning to it. That Rivka had to pray because Rivka lived in a house of Laban and Betuel. There's a secret there. So lost stuff. But what we're explaining now, we're explaining the pshat. The Mekubalim explain different idea. Why did she have to go and she had to pray and she had to stand in one corner and Yitzhak Avinu in another corner? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu listened to the praise, okay, of Yitzhak Avinu. Why? Because he come from Abraham Avinu. In the merit of Yitzhak Avinu, he brought her prosperity to have kids.
Okay.
Beseder? So
that's true. I hear that. But so why are we still using Lavan's brocha?
What we worried from the brocha of a Gentile, that's what we worried. But what we're saying here, that sometimes you see people that they barren. And the Hazal tell us how to overcome it. I have one of my students that for 16 years couldn't have kids. He had one daughter, and he couldn't have kids. And I told him what to do. It's not me. What the Mekubalim say what to do, and he done it. And after 16 years, he have a son, and then he have another daughter. So sometimes there is certain things that the person don't do right. You have to rectify it to have more kids, or to have kids, because certain things that they don't do right, and they soul that they're going to bring, maybe it's a great soul, we don't know, but the action that they doing in this life doesn't fit that they deserve to bring a child to the world. They have to rectify what they're doing so that soul can come to the world to look after it. Beseder?
Thank you.
Pleasure. Any other question? I think, Jeffrey, you wanted to ask another question. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's fine. The lovely questions asked by people. Here we have, it starts off at so you show this will be the reward. It talks, this shall be Eikev. Eikev is reward. And you mentioned it's how the Orachaim mentions at the end of time, the real joy when Mashiach comes, what have you. Isn't this a remez also to Yaakov? And because with Rivka, it was her reward that she had a child. Hashem gave her a child, and she called him Eikev. Yes, he was holding on to the hill of Esav, but it was her reward. So she went through all the suffering, but the real reward came at the end when she really needed it. And this again, when it said it shall be your reward, who is Moshe referring to here? Who is Hashem? The Jewish people, the children of Yaakov, Eikev. That's who we're referring to. And so it's up to us that we should hearken to the ordinances, that we shall observe and perform them. And this is it. And it's very refreshing. It's very beautiful to hear that at the end result, that will be good for all of us if we follow.
Absolutely, and that's the idea. Now, if you open a different avenue, I would like to continue, because you see that Rivka loved Yaakov. Rivka ohevet et Yaakov, Yitzchak ohevet Esav. What happened? Hazal come to teach us that Rivka came from the house of who? Of Lavan.
Yeah.
The house. Lavan wasn't a straight person. Although that he was our grandfather, he wasn't a nice grandfather. Terrible. But Yitzchak, that came from the house of Abraham Avinu, kindness, didn't understand all of it. Rivka immediately understood. When she saw a Savarasha, she knew he's double faces, he's a pretender. When she saw Yaakov, she saw that he's strong, but he doesn't pretend. He tell you straight who he is. He can be a difficult guy, but he doesn't want to be. That's why she loved him, because she know who's a pretender or not. She come from a house that she knew who was a father, Betuel, who was a brother, Lavan, how crook there. So she, let's put it in our language, she understand. She was a street smart, what we call it.
Streetwise, yes.
Streetwise, that's it, okay. She knew exactly. And
Yeah.
that's the Eikev. That's what is Yaakov. Vayahoz be'akev achiv, that he hold in the heel of his brother. That in the end of days, maybe today you see the Rashaim happy, but soon, very soon, we're very close that the Mashiach going to come by Ezrat Hashem. Shalkoach. Never thought of such a beautiful avenue that I needed to add up. Shalkoach.
That was beautiful.
Okay, Rabotai, there is any more question? No question. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank all of you and those that obviously didn't wait for the show or to wait for the question. I would like to wish you all, first of all, a beautiful Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, Umvorechet. To all of you, thank you for joining us tonight. I hope that it will bring a different idea. When you read the Parsha on Shabbos, it will bring different idea. Just to mention again, before I forget, that on Shabbos afternoon, an hour before Minha, at Yeshiva College, I'm going to give a shiur live on a Parsha, but in different aspects, in different depths, and different interpretation. You're all welcome an hour before Minha on Shabbos afternoon, an hour before Minha in the big shul at Yeshiva College. In the meantime, I would like to thank all of you and to wish all of you Shabbat Shalom, a beautiful weekend, a warm weekend, and hope to see you Be'ezrat Hashem again on Shabbos. On those of you that can't walk on Shabbos, I'll see you on Sunday Be'ezrat Hashem. Wish you all a beautiful evening.
Amen.
And Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Thank you very much.
Shabbat Shalom.